I'm Santosh Venkataraman, and I welcome you to this press conference that is hosted by the Press Information Bureau, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, at the 56th edition of the International Film Festival of India here at Goa. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that this press conference is also being live streamed across our PIB Panaji's YouTube channel. And it is a humble request from me that all those present in here may please either turn off your electronic devices or put them on the silent mode. We have with us on the panel teams from 3 different movies, 2 of which is competing for the coveted Golden Peacock. And we have also the 3rd movie that is competing for the best feature film debut. So we wish the 3 teams all the best for that. So the first one that we have with us Mr. Simon and Miss Sarah from the movie A Poet. I will read out a brief synopsis of the movie and then we can have a preview of the trailer. An aging poet finds purpose mentoring Yurladi, a talented teen, though exposing her to the poetry scene might be unwise. His own poetic pursuits led nowhere, leaving him a stereotypical obscure writer. Can we please have a preview?
Oscar Restrepo se definiría como un sempiterno, un perpetuo soñador.
¿Qué le pasó a usted, Oscar? Como era inteligente, todo un profesional y mírese.
Yo estoy escribiendo un libro.
Hay un libro.
Yo soy un poeta.
Usted es un desempleado.
No hay poeta que haya alcanzado el virtuosismo de José Asunción Silva en este hijueputa país.
¿Cómo va con el problema del alcohol?
Sufrimiento, la penumbra, agujeros negros donde todo se olvida. ¿Y la poesía? ¿Han escrito o han leído algún poema?
Profe, ve a ella escribe poemas.
Todos estos poemas son suyos.
Sí.
También vive en una profunda tristeza. Ustedes no tienen esta beca para jóvenes poetas,
¿Yo para qué quiero ser una gran poeta?
porque usted tiene mucho talento.
Uno puede vivir de esas.
Algunos estudiantes están diciendo que Oscar daba clase borracho.
Eso no es verdad. ¿Quién está diciendo eso? No sé lo que he hecho en la vida para que me pasen tantos infortunios.
¿Usted lo que es un cobarde. ¡Despierte! ¡Salga de ese hueco! Usted no está bien, ¿cierto?
Es que estoy como muy sensible últimamente.
We have with us the director of the French movie C'est-Si-Bon, Miss Diane Denis. I'll read out a brief synopsis of the movie. The tumultuous love story between 2 cinema stars at the height of their glory, Yves Montand and Simone Signoret. Soulmates who are bound by an unshakable love, they are forever haunted by Montand's passionate affair with Marilyn Monroe. Immersed in the charm of old Paris, with its smoky cafes and bohemian nights and timeless romance, the film captures the spirit of a lost era, where love, betrayal, and passion unfold like a classic French film. This is a biopic, and it's also based on a true story. Can we please have a preview of the trailer?
Simone Signoret, Yves Montand, est-ce que par hasard vous vous aimeriez?
On s'aime, et on s'aime bien. Alors tu dirais quoi, toi, hein? C'est quoi le secret de notre couple?
Bah, je sais pas, j'ai pas de secret, moi.
Oh, t'es chiant, tu joues pas le jeu.
Et vous vous aimez encore?
Tu sais, quand tu vis avec quelqu'un depuis aussi longtemps, tu sais plus vraiment si c'est ta femme, ta meilleure amie, ta pire ennemie.
T'es beau.
C'est juste une chose. Tu peux pas vivre sans elle.
Moi, je pense qu'on devrait faire un film sur nous. Nos vies, nos engueulades. Ce serait très triste et très drôle.
Mais il continue à sauter sur tout ce qui bouge.
Oh bah évidemment. Pourquoi tu vas tout le temps voir ailleurs?
On en a parlé 100 fois. On n'est pas pareil. Toi et moi, on n'est pas pareil.
Mais c'est vous, là. Avec Marilyn.
T'en auras fait baver celle-là, hein?
J'aurais pu la tuer.
Ne pars pas.
Arrête ça, je pars pas! Ça va se terminer, hein?
C'est une chanson qui nous ressemble. Toi, tu
Je veux
m'aimais
que tu l'appelles et que tu lui dises que c'est fini. T'entends?
et je t'aimais.
T'entends ce que je dis?
Nous vivions tous
Je te demande pardon.
les deux ensemble.
Arrête!
Toi qui m'aimais, moi qui t'aimais.
We have with us the director of the movie The Devil Smokes and Saves the Burnt Matches in the Same Box, Mr. Ernesto. I'll read a brief synopsis of the movie. The fears of 5 stoic young siblings abandoned by their parents mix with those of their schizophrenic grandmother who now looks after them, and the movie gradually blurs, dissolving the boundary between reality and imagination. Can we please have a preview of the trailer?
Papá ya la encontró, ¿verdad? Sí. Ahora sí te podemos ir a meter a un circo. Vané. Vané. Vanessa. ¡Estás en tu... ¡Ah! ¡Te voy a matar! ¡Ah! Ponla dura. ¿Me prometes que no me va a doler? No, va a estar un pequeño piquete. ¿Me prometes que me lo vas a regalar? Sí, va a ser tuyo. ¡Ayúdenme! ¡Ayúdenme a arrancar la puerta! ¡Ya! ¡Ya! ¡Ayúdame!
So we have 3 amazing entries for this edition of IFI. We have movies spanning from 3 different countries, Colombia, France, and Mexico. We have an interesting panel consisting of all 3 directors and a producer. So all of this makes for a very interesting discussion. Before I open up the floor for questions, I would like to get my curiosity also satisfied. I would like to ask Mr. Ernesto, I believe this is your debut feature film, and you have made many short movies before this. So I wanted to request you to share a few words on how this transition has been from making a short movie to a full feature movie.
Well, hello. Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Feature films are longer, and that's it.
No, was there really the techniques that you must have used or the strategy that you must have used for a short film, and when it comes to a feature movie, then
I change a lot my style, and so in order to work with kids, I had to change the strategies to direct them and to work previously with them, and to rehearsals, and like, and to focus all the energy and all the technical um, stuff around the shooting into the kids, to protect the kids and to get the best performance from them.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I have another question for the movie from France, which is based on a true story. I love true story movies. I love movies which are based on true events. But I feel that there are always challenges that are associated in that genre of movies because there has to be an historical authenticity to that movie. But then the movie would also require some dramatization or sensation. So, as a director, how do you balance between these two?
I always made true stories, told true stories. I mean, this is, I made 15 films. So, welcome to the club. All the stories I've told are true stories. First, I started with autobiographical stories, my story, my parents, my family, myself. And then I wrote about famous people, Alfred de Musset and famous people in general. And this time, I based the story on these two actors' lives, love affair. I mean, they stayed together for 30 years, and I was fascinated by them. They were very, very famous at the time, 40 years ago. When she died 40 years ago. So, and I was interested in their relationship, and I wanted to question the truth of their relationship. And of course, you have to invent everything because you don't know anything. So you base it on interviews and readings and their interviews. They gave a lot of interviews through their lives. And that's and then you invent and you create and you ask actors to sort of imagine what it was.
Okay. I would like to open up the floor and invite questions from the audience, please.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My question is à Madame Diane. Alors, est-ce que je peux poser cette question en français? C'est bon?
I will translate it then.
Merci. Alors, le titre, c'est Moi qui t'aimais. Alors, c'est moi qui change ou est-ce que c'est toi qui change? Et pourquoi c'est aimer et en parfait? Alors.
It's a phrase of a famous song written by Jacques Prévert, and which was sung by Yves Montand at the time, and it says "Moi qui t'aimais, toi qui m'aimais," which means, I mean, I could have chosen "Toi qui m'aimais." It's the same meaning. They both. I mean, it's a movie about love, as also all my movies, and it's questioning the most interesting thing that we have to go through or don't have to go through, which is how does it happen? Why does it last? Why does it stop? Does it have to stop? I mean, all these questions. And Moi qui t'aimais is just a reference to the song, to the famous song. It's famous for us. I mean, not maybe for the whole world.
Excuse me, sir. All the three films deserves to get an award. Very well made. With regard to Poet, is it a true story? And you have got an extraordinary actor who played the role as a poet. And the screenplay is very interesting in the film Poet.
Thank you. It's not necessarily a true story, but I think it is. I mean, like most of the films are true stories. Yeah. But I think it's about myself in a way. I made this film because this is my second film. Welcome, also. And my first film was very difficult for me to make, and I when I finished it in 2020 during the pandemic, there was no festival, nowhere to screen it, and I thought I'll give up cinema because it's so difficult in Colombia to make films, independent films. And I'm also a professor. I teach cinema, and I live out of of teaching. I don't. Until now, I'm earning a bit, but I live out of being a professor, and I thought about just dedicating myself to be a full-time professor. But then I thought, like, what kind of professor would I be in 20 years? Like a failure of a professor, this guy who is always showing this film he made when he was young. So I decided I will do a film about the worst version of myself in 20 years. But it was more interesting to make it about a poet than to a filmmaker. It doesn't, and that's it. So it's a true story of myself in 20 years.
With regard to actor,
That's
I'm interested to know about the actor.
Oh, the
He has done
actor.
a wonderful role.
Yeah,
and,
he's an actor.
Is he from a stage actor?
Yeah, he's never acted before. I was looking for a professional actor, and then a friend of mine sent me like a profile picture of the Facebook profile of this or of his uncle. Say this can be in your movie. He's a poet, but he was a professor teacher in high school, and it was like an accident. But he's amazing. He was born for that role. Yeah.
The screenplay, right?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Taking a cue from the answer that you've given, how has the difference in the experience been? Because post-pandemic, there were not that many, or the scale in which the film festivals happened, and in 2025, 5 years after that. So when your movie gets screened at different film festivals, how does it, to what extent it helps in theater distribution in that particular country? Distribution of that movie, or the audience, or the recognition that you get. How is the difference being played out from your first movie and to this one?
They both premiered in Cannes, which is a good platform for festivals, but somehow it doesn't mean that it's going to play well in the theaters, in cinemas. For instance, my first film was a failure in cinemas. Not many people watch it but this one is been very well received, and many people watch it still on cinemas in Colombia for 2 months. It's been for 2 months, and people watch it a lot. Like for an independent film, it was watched by many people. Not our numbers are slower, not as here, because here the numbers are big, but it was great. But I think festivals, of course, a festival like Cannes helps a lot with promotion, like abroad and in Colombia as well. So yeah, it helps. Like festivals, they help a lot. Yeah.
Hi, this is Divya from PIB. First of all, 3 wonderful movies, and we wish that all the 3 movies win the prizes because they're competing. My question is to Ernesto Martinez for the movie The Devil's Mocks. So it's an interesting movie, and you have child actors in the movie. So I believe that the casting process must have been very important for you, because you need people who understand your vision, and you need to communicate with them in an easy manner. So you must have had a challenging time as well as many interesting moments from it. So would you like to share something about the whole part of having a cast like that and dealing with them?
Well, the process was like 2 months process of the casting, with Michelle Betancourt, the casting director, who also was the acting coach. And I had 2 acting coach on set all the time with me, and I was part of the of the casting process. I watched like 300 kids, no, 150, yeah, personally, and we started playing with them and rehearse, making some rehearsals, and we find these 5 kids working together fine, and we start working in a workshop for 2 months with them, 3 days per week, and because you cannot act relationships, you have to build relationships. So we have to build the relationships between these 5 kids in order to they appear as brothers and sisters or siblings. And what else? Then none of them, only the elder one has previous experience acting, but none of the other 4 of the kids had any experience. And when we were working in the set, we were trying to take care a lot of them. The set, the DOP used this technique like putting the lights outside of the set all the time, so we can move like 360 and shooting the kids all the time. And most of the film is scripted. Is like 80% of is on script on paper, and they are following the script like word by word. And then another 20%, something like that. There are improvisations that we play with them, and yeah. Welcome.
Actually, my question is to everyone because I want to know every director on the panel comes from a different country. So, how do your country's socio-political background impact your movies? Do you have a good, bad, not so good, not so bad, neutral response and depiction in your movies?
I don't. How the film was affected by the social.
The socio-political impact, what you have in Colombia, in Mexico, in France, how does that impact your depiction in the film? Does that impact in a certain way, or do you try to not get that involved in your movies?
You mean in producing a movie or in putting the things
In
together?
putting the things together.
Okay.
Well,
well, France is a very special country for movies, as you know. We are helped very much by the system is very simple. When you buy a ticket, a big percentage of the money goes to the film industry. Whether it's a French movie, whether it's an American movie, an Indian movie, it goes to the industry, and the producers have to give it back to the industry. So it's a very interesting system that everybody should learn about this because it helps films to be made. The reverse of the token is that we have too many films, too many French films. We produce something like almost 300 movies a year, French. And it's impossible because we have also foreign films coming. So how many films can you see per year? But it's a good system to protect. And so we used to sell a lot of movies abroad, in America, in South America, and we lost all these markets very slowly, but I think kind of definitely. You?
Well, I think it affects because it's part of our culture, and I'm coming from a very stressful city like Mexico City, and I feel like I had to shoot my film with handheld camera all the time. If I put the camera in a tripod, I'm feeling like strange. Like my reality is not like that. It's shaking all the time, and so I think it affects the way you shoot your films, the stories that you approach into. But as well, I'm not doing a political film. It's a personal film, written by Karen Plata, my couple, and it's about our fears and our childhood and our memories of that Mexico that exists in that moment. And yeah, I think it's normal that it affects you because you're part of this reality, this country.
Yeah, the same. Like cinema is a mirror of reality. It's just that it's like taking a picture of your characters or landscapes in your country, and it becomes part of the imaginary, the cultural background of a country. And again, as well as Ernesto, I wasn't necessarily political, but there's no way around it. I mean, there's no other way because, I mean, there are strongly political films, and there are films like this that is not, let's say, strongly political. It's quite personal about myself in a way or about the artist, but it's very political at the same time because it depicts, like, you don't have to really deliberately be political, but you are no matter how. Yeah, it's always like that.
Hi, I'm very honored to ask a question of each of you, but I'll begin with Sarah first. And I want to say that, Simon, this may not be you in 50 years because this is Colombia's Oscar entry. So, yeah, fortunes are going to change. So I just wanted to ask Sarah about what he mentioned, his previous film, and now that you attached yourself as a producer to this one. How do you strategize a film's distribution in the sense to give it art, take it to film festivals, which doesn't bring a lot of money, but also commerce to establish some theatrical distribution, some pocket somewhere, and maybe share about the Oscar journey a little bit?
Yes. I think it was Simon's intention from the very beginning to make a film that was open to the audience. And I think that's very important. It was, the film started having that intention, and we believe it played out at the end very well. But I think it's important to have that intention to connect in a way, and it's an intention that is really imprinted in the script, for example, to try to establish that with the audience. It's not easy. We come from a country that really resists its own films. It's very hard for us. And if you see the numbers, especially after the pandemic, I think it really affected every country. But for us, it has been very challenging because we also have to play with the resistance people have toward watching themselves in films. Colombians in general have a bad impression of themselves and of their films. And that's something that we have to fight with. And I think A Poet has sort of like won that battle in a way, because the response has been very beautiful and people have been really engaged with the characters, mainly with what they're living. And I think that's beautiful because it's also opening a door to many other films. And I think it has piqued people's curiosity about our own stories and our own characters. I mean, for us, I think there are many cultural references that are maybe lost because of, we come from a very different place. But when you see the film being from the city that we are, you can see yourself. And I think that's very important, that we recognize there's a lot of value in that. And in that facilitated the distribution of the film. Of course, there was a wave that started with the premiere of the film. It did very well in festivals, and that has propelled something within the audience and interest of platforms to have it. But I think the key difference is that it really touched people in a way. Yeah.
I have a question for Deanne. You are an accomplished filmmaker, and your films are biographical, semi-autobiographical. They're love stories and romances. I want to know, from when you started out first to now, there is this perception about romances or stories of celebrities becoming not so much high art, not so much serious, not so much to be seen in a sense of an intellectual discourse. From when you started out to now, how do you respond to giving your films the kind of craft that you've given to the genre of romance?
I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can you make it simple?
Yeah. So the perception is that romance is a love story and what's more to it. But your films deal with a lot more than that. So I'm saying, when you started out, there could have been a perception to now having you become this master in that genre.
I don't know how, I can't answer that. I don't know. It's a process. You'll see. It's a process. Yeah. It's slowly. You film after film. You discover your craft. Although my most successful film was my first film. That says something. I was 27, I think, when I wrote it, or 28. And it was a huge success for some reason in my country. But when I say huge, it was huge, and I didn't expect it at all. I was a young actress, having no roles and being frustrated, and I decided that I'm going to write something, and I made a film. And then it's a process of learning and becoming. If you can become a master, it's great. But I'm not there yet. Almost, but you don't control. You think you control, but you don't control anything. In fact, the film controls you as long as you make it. And it's it's the most beautiful job in the world. That's what I can say. It's the most interesting, changing, evolving, fulfilling job in the world. I cannot imagine something else ever for me. But what else?
Okay, Ernesto, welcome to Feature Films. And we hope to see you. This is something that I do ask debut filmmakers. Is then when you set out to make a film, how conscious are you about positioning yourself as a contemporary Mexican filmmaker and therefore ensuring that it's very localized? And also thinking about something that can relate to a larger international audience if you look at film festivals as one platform to send your film to. So how do you balance that out?
I don't. So I started thinking, like, when I was doing this film, when I was writing and preparing the shooting, and I was always telling, this film is gonna be screened 3 times and with subtitles, like, and in a way it was, I think it was a good way of thinking, because I had no pressure for, so I started doing whatever I want, and yeah, and it was a surprise for me to get into a lot of festivals and audience connecting with the film, and it was great. But I wasn't thinking like, I have to balance this and to do. It was like, okay, let's do it.
Do we have any more questions? Okay, so we now come to an end of this press conference. I would like to thank all the panelists and all the audience for joining us. We would like to present a small memento to all of our panelists in here, so I request them to please come forward.
Ah.